Hello and welcome to another episode of the Unwanted Opinions podcast. Jay and I are back recording on a Monday about 5:45 Eastern time. It's a little weird because we've got some NFL action going right now. You got the Bills and the Chiefs. Got delayed a little bit because of the Bills and the Titans COVID-related incidents, which why wasn't the Titans game moved to Monday? I mean, they had to play.
Nobody knows.
Were they just because they were the ones that they weren't apparently the Vrabel wasn't having anybody wear masks around the facility? Did they just get punished and say you guys have to play Sunday then instead, and the Bills just got an extra day off or whatever?
I really don't know, but I did see that they're thinking about finding the shit out of the Titans for
I did see that.
what
I
they
think
were
they're
doing.
probably past that now, but unless the Titans have another outbreak again and are forced to cancel a game. But anyways, so all right, you got that going on. We had a bunch of games yesterday. No cancellation.
Got another one tonight.
Another one tonight. Cowboys Cardinals. I'm gonna hit this at the beginning instead of the end. If you are a fan of the Unwanted Opinions podcast, make sure you are subscribed anywhere you find your podcast where you're listening now, which is probably Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify. Subscribe, rate, review. Helps Jay and I out a ton. You can also find us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Unwanted Opinions with Nick and Jay. Email us, unwantedopinionspodcast@gmail.com. If you have questions, comments, whatever, you can get in touch with us in many ways. So, Jay, I usually start off asking how you are on a Monday.
Honestly, my thought right now is I'm so glad you say that every time because I feel like I would just twist up the words and it just rolls so smoothly. It seems like with you, I'd be telling them our Instagram name for our Gmail account and it just wouldn't be pretty. So I'm glad you do that.
Well, I kind of got it. It's almost like it's like second nature.
Second nature.
Saying it. I mean, we've been doing this podcast for over a year now. I've kind of whispered that same thing for over a year, so I kind of got it down
whisper.
pat. Huh?
You ain't whispering.
Did I say whisper?
Yeah, you said I've been whispering this thing for a year now.
Jay, I can't whisper.
Yeah, that's why I'm thrown off.
All right. Anyways, let's get started on some of these Sunday games. Where do you want to start, Jay? Start us off, man.
Well, first of all, congrats to the NFL because I think I read somewhere where this was the first time that there have been 0 positive tests going into Sunday. I think I read that right.
I actually think they had that week 1 or 2.
Then someone lied to me when they wrote it down.
But I did see that they had 0 positive tests on Sunday, which is very impressive.
Yeah.
The amount of testing that they have to do and the people. It's very impressive.
Is, some bullshit with these fake positives, but I'll just let that one slide. Let's start with the Bears-Panthers.
All right.
My initial thoughts are the Bears might be pretty okay. I don't think they're a great team. I don't think they're even that good of a team. I absolutely think they're a playoff team. Yes, I'm not an idiot. 5-1. They're probably going to make the playoffs, but as of now, I believe they've played well enough to get there. Foles is getting a little better in that system, but I think this was more of a game where you look at the Panthers and say, are they pretenders or are they for real? Because coming into this week, me included, thought maybe the Panthers were for real, and they took a big step back. And I've said all along the Bears defense is pretty good. It's just that offense, I don't know what it's going to be week to week. They really can't run the ball worth a shit. And even Nagy came out and said their offense isn't good enough right now, even at 5-1. But give credit where credit's due. A win is a win, and they have 5 of them out of 6 games. So sitting at 5-1, the Bears are looking good. In that, I mean, they're tied for first now because they haven't played the Packers yet. I don't believe
they have not.
So
I don't even. I mean, not that the Vikings are any.
They're ass.
We'll talk about that when we get there, but I mean, they haven't. I don't think they've played them either. But the Bears, I mean, I think I said it after they were 3-0. I thought they were one of the most fraudulent 3-0 teams that I could remember. And I mean, I hate saying this about a team that's 5-1, but they find ways to win. It's their defense keeps them in every single game. I mean, their offense, is really bad. I mean, their offensive line's not very good. You mentioned they can't run the ball. I mean, Foles, some games he's in the clouds Other games, he is nowhere to be found. I didn't mean to rhyme on that, but it's just true with the Bears. I mean, you really don't know who you're going to get. In the Panthers, yeah, it was a good question. I mean, they'd won 3 straight games after starting the season 0-2. Teddy Bridgewater just was pressured all day long. I mean, he basically had no time to throw, or I mean, he was pressured damn near every time he dropped back to pass. He threw 2 picks, got sacked a couple times, but they still had a chance to win or at least tie the game because on that 4th and 2, I mean, he had DJ Moore wide open on a corner route and just overthrew him, and DJ Moore almost made a fantastic catch. Then they got the ball back, and then I think Kyle Fuller picked off Bridgewater, but I just
And
really
you got to remember they're doing all this with no offseason, with a brand new coach, brand new offensive coordinator, and no Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you were going to talk about the Bears.
No. I'm talking about the Panthers. They're doing
yeah,
they're
a
sitting
guy
at
that
3
just
and
came
3.
from college in Matt Rule, and your defense is probably the youngest defense in the league. I mean, you drafted 7 rookies this year in the draft, all defensively, so you're really playing young. They're just really young everywhere. I mean, they've got some good skill guys, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe the Panthers are a little bit better than I thought. I still don't think they're. You said contender. I definitely don't think they're a contender. Maybe a playoff contender. They could be in the fight for maybe that 6th or 7th
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm talking
seed.
about. I mean, they came into the game with a winning record. So
yeah, and they had won 3 straight, but I still don't know what to make of the Bears. I think they're gonna, because their schedule is not that tough. I mean, they look like a playoff team, but are they a team that's going to make a deep run? Probably
no, I think
not.
they're a team that's going to make the playoffs because of strength of schedule, and they're going to have. I don't know. I mean, with the added playoff team in this year on both sides, you're probably going to see an 8-8 team make the playoffs, 7-9 team. So, just record-wise, they're going to make the playoffs. But I think they're going to be a team in the playoffs that nobody's afraid to play, that everybody's hoping they pull.
I agree.
Not one of those 9-7, 10-6 win teams that could get hot, people are afraid,
and then go on and win the whole thing.
Yeah,
like the Giants,
that's
or the Steelers,
what I think the Bears are.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Okay, another one of the early games. This was kind of a little bit of a stinker as well. The Broncos and the Patriots. I mean,
that was tough to watch.
You got the Patriots, who have barely had any days to practice in the past 2 weeks, pretty much. Pretty similar with the Broncos, their game was postponed last week because of all the COVID Patriot testing. And I mean, then Melvin Gordon gets the news that he's going to be filed for a DUI, and then he has strep throat and doesn't make the trip to New England. Both teams, I think they both turned the ball over 3 times.
It was ugly.
The Broncos didn't score a single touchdown. The Patriots, scored a touchdown late to make it somewhat closer, but this was probably one of the worst games I've ever laid my eyes on.
Yeah, I mean, the Broncos had a lead where they were just kicking field goal after field goal, so they were up by, I want to say, like 10 or 13 points, and then
they were up 18-6 at one point.
And then Drew Lock was like trying to give them the game. He was throwing pick, and then he throws another pick, and he's like, "Here you go. I mean, why don't you go back and win the game?" And the Patriots offense just could not move the ball really.
No, they couldn't.
And Cam, he made some bad decisions. The only thing he was really effective with was his legs. It was like all around just a bad game.
I think you could clearly see that the layoff for both teams had legitimate effects to it.
And I saw that this is a pretty good stat. If I saw this right, you guys should never quote me on stats, but when I say shit, I've seen or heard it somewhere. So I saw that.
Yeah, you were trying to bring I don't even know what stat you tried to bring up last week.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember either, but this was the first time since Belichick's been with the Patriots, so 20, 21 years, that they have held an opponent to no touchdowns and lost the game.
That could very well be true. I guess I don't know either, but that seems right. I mean, if you don't score touchdowns against the Patriots, you lose. I mean, that was like the whole mantra against the Patriots for 20 years was when you're close, you got to score touchdowns because they're going to score against you. But
you can't settle for field goals, and the Broncos did, and they came away with the win.
They did, and I mean, I think they had a few drops. I think that the Broncos, could have scored a couple touchdowns on some drop passes by a few of their guys. But yeah, all right, it was an ugly game.
Yeah, that's pretty much all you got to say about that.
I thought there was quite a lot of ugly games this weekend. I really did.
What was another ugly one?
Well, at the beginning for our Colts, Jay, it was about as ugly as you can get. I mean, to go down 21-0, be down 24-7 at one point, because in the first half, I mean, the Colts offense was predictable. They couldn't get any short third downs. Rivers missed a couple guys. The defense couldn't stop anybody. Our linebacker, the Colts were without Darius Leonard for a second straight week, and you could for sure tell in the first few drives because our linebackers were lost, running just like with like chickens with their head cut off. I mean, they didn't know where to go. There were some coverage mess ups, no pass rush on like one of the worst offensive lines in football. I think Joe Burrow had already been sacked like almost 30 times through 4 games. So it was ugly. And I'll let you go, Jay, but I've just been saying this for a couple weeks now. I just think the Colts are just going to be because of this. They're like the Bears. I mean, because of how poor their schedule is, they're going to have a decent record, probably make the playoffs, and I think they'll be a team that not a lot of people are afraid of come January, come playoffs, just because I don't think the Colts are that good.
I'm a little higher than you on that. I think that Phillip Rivers had no offseason with these guys, so we'll see how he adjusts. But to this point, he played a pretty damn good game, minus the stupid-ass interception that he just threw into double cover. I was like, what were you looking at? Colts had some drop passes. I mean, he's playing with guys that they just signed off of the street because we've lost all of our receivers. So I'm not going to sit here and put it all on him. They did come away with the win. Did you know that?
I didn't even mention his name, though, just now.
What did I just watch? Okay. Did you know that when the Colts went down 21-0 in the first quarter, that they had only run 8 offensive plays and were already down by 21 points?
Yeah, because it was 3 and out.
On the first drive, Jack Doyle fumbled the ball in the second play of the game.
True, he did.
I was like, he didn't even get touched.
Yeah, he just turned around and absolutely just flat out dropped the ball. And
the Colts are missing their best defensive player, which is Darius Leonard. He is the lifeblood of that defense. I give the Colts credit. The past 2 games, they've went to halftime and really made adjustments from what was happening in the first half. And
they've had very slow starts defensively, that's for sure, in the past 2 games.
Yeah, they can't get the offense and defense on the same track.
Against
the offense.
I mean, in the Bengals, the main thing is the Bengals suck, and it should have not been this close.
I agree, 100%. I'm not going to sit here and say we're going to be scared of the Colts. I think after the week, the Colts are probably going to get some healthy, a receiver or 2, plus Mo Alley Cox, a tight end who at the beginning of the year was playing pretty well for him, possibly a pass rusher. So coming out of this next bye week, the Colts are going to be healthier, and that's 2 more weeks to game plan for somebody, 2 more weeks for Phillip Rivers to get on the page with everybody else. I'm not sold that they're going to make any type of playoff run. I just think that there is a possibility that over a 17-week season where the quarterback gets more comfortable over each week with the teammates around him, that a veteran quarterback who understands defenses might get better down the stretch and have them have a chance. Because the thing with the Colts is, in their division, Tennessee is the only team that is doing anything right now, and Tennessee looks damn good. Do not get me wrong. I just think that over the past few years,
you were low on the Titans coming into this year too.
I just think the Colts are a bad matchup for the Titans. I always have, and the way they're built, I think I wouldn't be surprised if the Colts go 2-0 against the Titans this year.
Yeah, but I mean, it's also a different Titans team. I mean, it was in the past against fucking Mariota. And, before that, who were their quarterbacks that could attack down the field? I mean, Kerry Collins,
here's the thing.
Or Vince Young,
or a defensive-led team, and the Titans are an offensive-led team. Titans run their offense through Derrick, and we're getting sidetracked. After I say this, we'll move on. The Titans run their offense through Derrick Henry. They're a run-first team. That's the strength of the Colts defense. No one's really been able to run on the Colts yet.
And I'm saying, I mean, I just wanted to say one last thing about the Colts before we do move on. It's just you said something about Phillip Rivers getting stronger as the year goes on.
Not stronger, just more of a rapport with his players.
Okay. Even that being so, I just worry about older quarterbacks as years go on. I know that the Colts play indoors and they have a dome, but I think the Colts also travel to Pittsburgh this year. Just older quarterbacks at the end of the season. I think you've seen it with Breeze recently. You've seen it with Brady, as much as everybody doesn't want to admit it about Tom Brady. It's happened to him the past 3 or 4 years where he's gotten weaker at the end of seasons. And so that's that's a concern I have about Phillip Rivers.
I know you had some shit you want to say about this game. Packers and Buccaneers.
You want to go there right now?
Yep, I do. I mean, you brought up Brady, might as well.
Okay, so the the Buccaneers this season have had touchdown drives of 10 yards or less 3 times in 6 games. You want to care to venture a guess? Okay, let me put it this way. In the previous, I won't even have you guess because you never will. In the previous 83 games,
I might have guessed.
No, you wouldn't have. In the previous 83 games before Tom Brady got there, they had 3 touchdown drives of 10 yards or less. In the 6th game that Tom Brady's on the roster, they already have 3 this year. This dude's luck travels with him everywhere. He
wills the defense to get those plays.
How does that keep happening to this man?
I don't know.
How on earth does this guy get so lucky? And why did it have to happen this week for the Packers to just absolutely take a shit on the field? Because Tom Brady throws for 160 yards and they win by 4 touchdowns. And all I see is praising Brady. That's like it. And then trashing Aaron Rodgers. That's what I've seen all day today.
I have yet to listen to one sports thing today. I can't really make it make sense. I had every intention after last night watching the game, me and you were texting back and forth, of coming in here and just roasting the fucking Packers, because the one week I finally nut up and say, okay, I really think the Packers are pretty good. I've been hating this whole time. I take back what I said. I'm ready to eat crow. And then they come out and do this. I'm not going to just completely write off the Packers because the game started out 10-0. Packers marching up and down the field, and they were stopping the Buccaneers in the tracks. And then Aaron Rodgers throws a pick 6. So right off the bat, it goes from 10-0 to where the Buccaneers are going to be playing from behind and really probably adjusting their game plan to 10-7. So very controllable game. And then the Packers get the ball back, and Aaron Rodgers on the very next fucking play throws another interception, and they take it all the way down to the 2-yard line. So and then Brady just turns around, hands the ball off, and you just went from 10 up or being down 10-0 to up 14-10 in a matter of 20 seconds, and you didn't do anything offensively to get it besides run a play to the left side of the field.
Just a basic handoff.
I truly believe, and you could call it hate, even if the Packers just punt on their next 2 possessions and they're up 10-0 going into, I don't know, second quarter, midway through the second quarter, it's a completely different ball game that the Buccaneers are playing. And it looked to me like after Aaron Rodgers threw his second interception that he basically just checked out. Like the whole team.
It looked like it on his face.
Aaron Rodgers is the leader of the team, and he just basically said, okay, this game I'm just going to chalk it up to nothing. I don't really care anymore. And the team followed suit. Seemed like coaches followed suit, and they just let the Buccaneers have it. So I'm not ready to say that the Packers are just a bad team, and once they go up against tough defenses that they're just going to fold, because that is what I thought coming into the year. That's what I thought after last year, and it's basically what I thought up until last week. So it makes me lean a little bit more back towards my initial thought, but maybe this was just a game that, the Packers let slip out of their hands early and just gave up. Now, if this happens again, I'm going to be right back on the train.
Yeah, then you could you could have a cause for concern, but maybe it was just one of those games where the Packers kind of do for a game like this. They're coming off their bye week. You see sometimes where teams take that bye week and just get really laxed, and I think they had maybe heard how they were so good, being 4-0. Their offense was clicking on all cylinders. And
Dude, this
then
might be a hot take, but I think the Packers were better without Devontae Adams because it seems like he force feeds Adams when he's in the game. He's looking at him on every play, and I feel like it just gets him in trouble sometimes when
I
Adams
think it
wasn't in the
does at
game.
times.
When Adams wasn't in the game and he had to just like go to receivers and just trust that they would be open, I know it was just one game. It just seemed like it suited that offense better where he was more looking for the best play rather than let me find Devontae Adams. Let me find Devontae Adams.
There
Where's
were also
Devontae Adams? Where's
times
17?
where, and Aaron gets into this a lot, I mean, where he knows he's just so talented, where his mechanics are bad. I mean, the pick six, I mean, he's trying to throw that off his back foot. I mean, first of all, it was just a bad read, and he shouldn't have made that throw anyways. But he didn't get enough zip on it. It's behind Devontae Adams on an out route, and that's the absolute worst spot where you can put that ball. But he's done that for his career, and then like you said, yeah, he gets sort of checked out because he's pissed off, and then, I mean, he doesn't want to hear anybody tell him anything. That's where Aaron Rodgers can get really moody, and that's a thing I've always struggled with him throughout his career. But I mean, I think the Packers are still a good team. I just think it was one of those games where all hell just broke loose, and it's definitely way better to have that game now than it is going down the stretch week 14, 15, 16, 17 going into the playoffs.
For sure. And props to the Buccaneers because, first of all, not LeGarrette Blunt. He looked like fucking LeGarrette Blunt.
Who, Ronald Jones?
Rojo came in looking like beast mode. I mean, playing
awesome.
lights out. And I can't even hate on Tom Brady for this game because he did what they needed to do to win. I mean, the defense basically got them 14 points back after being down 10-0, and then he just didn't lose the game. He just kept finding the open guy. Like I said, threw for 160 yards, checked into run plays when he needed to, and then the defense and Rojo were the players of the game.
Did you just make that nickname up for him, Jay? I'd never heard anybody call him that before.
Really? No, I definitely 1,000% did not make that up.
Okay. Well, at least you're owning up.
But Ronald Jones. Yeah,
I know
Ronald
who he
Jones.
is. I just had never heard anybody call him Rojo before.
Yeah, so
I thought
he
you
looked
were out here
awesome
being the
last
nickname
night.
master or something.
No, I can't take credit for that, but it was actually nice to see because he, I mean, they had high hopes for him coming a second round draft pick out of USC, and then like they just weren't using him the first couple years
after he was drafted.
But he looks like he's bulked up.
He turned his career around. He did, and he looked really good.
Running hard.
I mean, he ran through the Packers' entire defense, and that's something that's been concerning for the Packers last year. You saw against the 49ers when the 49ers just absolutely ran down their throat. I mean, that was the Packers' weak spot of their defense, and that's something else that the Packers they're built a very specific way. They need to get the lead and make teams throw against them because their weakness is their run defense. And if they don't score a lot of points, they don't have the defense to just get stops consistently when the team's just trying to run down your throat. That's not how they're built.
It's not. So that Bucs defense looks legit, though.
I mean, the offensive line of the Packers could not stop anybody on the Bucs D line.
And you can see that Chris Godwin is Brady's favorite receiver, and right now he looks like the best receiver on Tampa Bay. So they were missing him while he was out. Oh, I know for sure, but I still think everybody thinks or thought that Mike Evans was still the best receiver on that team.
I mean, what's Brady's strength? It's throwing short, intermediate routes. It's not pushing the ball downfield. It's not, and that's what Mike Evans is best at. And that's just pure, that's not hate. That's just pure evaluation of what Tom Brady's done for his entire career. He's been good at it. All I'm saying.
Yeah.
But that's kind of why you see that with Chris Godwin.
Where would you like to go?
The Giants and the Washington football team, I have nothing. Those are two awful teams. Just awful.
I only had a couple. They're kind of questions, observations, and just curiosity. One, do you think Daniel Jones is a franchise quarterback?
I mean, do. From what I've seen so far,
I think he's working with nothing in New York.
That's a great point. I was going to say I can't give you an actual yes or no because I just think we haven't seen enough.
I think he's shown that he can be accurate. He has a good arm.
There's at
and
times where he looks like he's a really good player, and then there's times where he just looks lost.
yeah, I mean his best receiver is Darius
Hey,
Slayton.
I know. I know the carts he's being dealt with. His offensive
Yeah,
line sucks.
awful.
The GM there is terrible. I
The
mean,
jury's still out on Joe Judge, which
exactly.
I didn't even mean to say it like that, but that's pretty funny. But I just they I don't know. I believe it. I believe Daniel Jones could be a franchise quarterback for somebody, and I would give up something for him if the Giants ended up with the top
Is
pick and took
this
one of the top
well? Then
quarterbacks.
let me ask you this question: Is this one of those quarterbacks who, if he was put in a different situation, would succeed a lot more? The fact that he's on such a terrible team with a
Yes, I believe
terrible
so.
talent, because I mean, I think you've seen that ruin guys' career, and I mean, I think him and Sam Darnold are two guys that are in that position.
Like I don't know where I would see him going, but yes, I do believe he would succeed elsewhere with just a little bit more help and a good offensive play caller.
I mean, put him on the Colts.
Yeah, well,
Good
and
offensive
I didn't want
line.
to go there because like all the young quarterbacks are being pegged to the Colts right now
Yes, I know. I've
because
seen it. Sam Darnold, Daniel Jones, Haskins, all of them pretty much are being just like imagined to the Colts.
But yes, maybe a little better on the Colts, but not much with the offensive weapons they have because their skill players are just they're all hurt right now. So or just not producing like they should be. Where the fuck's T.Y. Hilton been? But
He's old and slow,
but
and
the only other
we've
thing
talked
I
about
had
this
for
all year.
the only other thing I had for that game was I don't know what Rivera's doing by making Dwayne Haskins third string and starting Kyle Allen.
I don't
Because
get it
here's my
either.
thought process. What I've seen from Kyle Allen and from Dwayne Haskins, not much of a difference. I would personally rather have Dwayne Haskins over Kyle Allen, but either way, pick your poison, whatever. I don't know why you did it because one, you have Haskins on his rookie deal. Either use him or get rid of him. There's no reason just to make him third string. And then my second point with that was I believe Alex Smith is better than both of them. So are you trying to win game? What are you trying to do here? I don't understand. You're not trying to get anything for Dwayne Haskins. You're starting Kyle Allen, and I think Alex Smith is your best option. So
I mean, it's clear that Ron Rivera just loves Kyle Allen. I mean, he started him a
yeah.
bunch last year with Carolina, and I mean now he's doing it in Washington. I don't get it either because what
And
is
if it was
Dwayne?
because
Has Dwayne Haskins even played 16 games in his career? I mean, he hasn't even gotten a full season worth of reps to see if he can be your franchise quarterback. And they're not working with anything in Washington. Their team sucks.
Yep. And on top of that, his whole first year was Jay Gruden just going back and forth with the owner, and then he gets fired, and then he gets another offensive play caller. So he's got two offensive play callers in his first year.
Yep.
Then they fired everybody, bring in Ron Rivera, so he's learning three offenses in a year and a half, and have nobody on offense, and offensive line's not good, and it's just like you didn't
No
really give
running
this guy a
game.
chance to succeed. So I don't know. And I'm not even saying that he would have succeeded had he had more help. I don't know what he's going to be in the NFL. He had a pretty good college career, but it's just I don't know what they're doing really.
I don't understand. I don't understand that either. I think you know what Kyle Allen is in this league. I do, and I don't think you know what Dwayne Haskins is yet. All
Yeah,
right.
I mean, I don't have anything else on that game.
I mean, another just atrocious game was the Dolphins and the Jets. I mean,
yeah, what the fuck?
I think
Dolphins are out here.
Tua finally got in the game. I mean, come on, it's the Jets. I mean, the Jets are terrible. The Jets are gonna maybe
But dude, the
win
Dolphins are 3-3.
a game.
They're playoff bound right now.
I know they went and surprised everybody and beat the 49ers in San Francisco last weekend. But I mean,
Not just beat them, they whooped their ass. They're
They did
coming
whoop
off
their
two
ass.
straight games of just domination.
okay. Again, it's the Jets, so let's. You got to at least put a little bit of context to this one. I was just gonna say it was cool to see Tua get his first reps in as a quarterback. So that's basically all I got to say because the Jets are a mess, and I don't know what they're waiting on firing everybody right now.
Probably because they see how bad they are. They're like, why would we risk firing him and bringing in a coach that's going to win games?
Well, they'll just promote whoever the offensive coordinator is and just let him do
yeah,
it
but
for the
he has
rest
a
of the
chance
year.
of winning games because Gase sucks ass. So
Well,
let's just
If
leave
they're
him in
trying
place.
to tank, then I guess keep him.
yeah,
So,
I mean, at this point, why the fuck would you try and win?
I'm not saying they're going to try and win, but at least maybe try and change somewhat of the culture. I don't know.
Yeah, fuck it. Go 0-16 and go get your quarterback.
Okay. That's fine with me.
Uh,
What? Go get Trevor Lawrence and ship out Sam Darnold?
yep, that's exactly what I'd do.
All right. Try and get something.
I'd try and get something for Sam Darnold, and whatever I get, I'm turning that into offensive line help.
Okay. All right, Jay. This next one, the Dolphins, the Lions and the Jaguars. Now the Jags are their only win came in Week 1 against our Colts. That's not a good sign because the Jaguars actually look like complete shit the last couple games. Man, they look like the team everybody thought they were going to be.
Yep, I think it's pretty obvious Minshew's not the guy.
Yeah,
he
I
lacks
told you he's
arm
like
strength.
Fitzpatrick, where he'll have games where he throws for 350 yards, 3 TDs, they win, and he'll have games like yesterday against
but Fitzpatrick's
a bad
even
Lions
more likely
team.
to have him than him.
Well, okay,
he gets out of a lot of shit because their offensive line isn't very good, and he's playing with a lot of number 2s at wide receiver as well. But it's just like I don't know. He's not the guy to me. And
no,
the Jaguars
I think he's a
are just
career
bad all
backup.
around. I would agree with that. The Lions looked pretty decent. I mean,
their offense looked pretty good for the first time all year.
Yeah, their defense looked pretty good too. So
Yeah.
it was a good win for the Lions because it's not like they just won like 20-16 or barely squeaked one out. I think they controlled that game start to finish.
Yeah, they did. I think they were up like 24-3 at one point.
So they're up to 2-3.
You can't count them out, man.
You can't. And
I think they've already doubled the win total that you gave them at the start of the season.
Probably.
They did. You said they'd win one game.
Just got to bring that up, huh? DeAndre Swift looked pretty good. I saw that was the first Detroit rookie with 100-plus rushing yards and 2 TDs since 1989.
Wow. Well, he owed the Lions that game after dropping that touchdown in Week 1.
Oh, yeah.
He owes them He owes them a little bit more than just this one game. But, I mean, what is this, the third straight year that the Lions have taken a second-round running back? Or just the second in 3 years. They took Kerryon Johnson in the second round and DeAndre Swift in the second round.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, okay.
Because before they took Kerryon Johnson, I remember seeing where like they never took running backs high.
Remember years ago, this is way off track, but they took Javid Best, I think, in the first round.
Where the fuck did he go to school?
Cal.
Javid Best.
He was
the little quick guy.
Yeah, he was like a Darren Sproles type back.
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
I think he was like a sprint champion.
All
or
about
something.
him.
Yeah. Anyways, that was just an off little tangent, but
I'm curious to see what the Lions do going forward because if they play like this, they can hang with the top teams in the league. But I just don't see them being that consistent.
Their offense needs to do more. I mean, with Stafford and Hawkinson and Galladay and Marvin Jones, I mean, they've got some decent weapons offensively.
Don't sleep on AP.
Yeah. I mean, he scored a touchdown.
I like Peterson.
Yesterday.
I know.
I've always liked Adrian Peterson.
They got down to, 4th and goal, and Adrian Peterson, all right, hold my beer. I'm going to go get this one, and then just trucked in for the touchdown.
He's a guy that the Washington football team just flat out said, we don't want you anymore. And look at their running back situations.
I'm just like, what the fuck?
Yeah. I mean, if you don't want AP, I mean, it's not like they had
all these options. Their one guy was
Guice.
Wasn't he under crime watch or something?
Anymore. And now they got an undrafted rookie and Antonio Gibson as their starter,
who hasn't done a fucking thing all year.
No, didn't you take him fairly high in fantasy?
Yeah, son of a bitch.
Your first 2 picks didn't pan out that well, Jay.
Oh, and this pisses me
and Miles
off.
Sanders and Kenyon Drake.
This really gets under my skin. I'm over the Lions game. The first fucking week, I did not pick the Falcons to win their football game. They come out and look like the fucking best show on turf Rams of 1999 or whenever the hell they were, 2003.
It was 99, 2000. Yeah, you're right, Jay.
They just murked the Vikings. Granted, it's the Vikings, but that offense looked unstoppable.
Yes, it did.
I'm like, where the fuck has this been? I don't know if it's
the team
Morris, if it was Dan Quinn that they quit on.
Everyone is just falling. I mean, if you fall in love with the talent that they have, I mean, they finally were able to
everyone
get Julio Jones going. I mean, Matt Ryan
Russell Gage looks like a number
MVP
2, and
Matt
he's the
Ryan.
third best receiver on the team. You got Calvin Ridley, they have 2 number 1s because they finally got Julio back, who's arguably the best damn receiver in the league when he's fully healthy. They got Matt Ryan, who finally looked like the old Matt Ryan. They went and got Todd Gurley. So, like, their offense is loaded.
Yeah.
And then defensively, they had guys making plays all over the field, picked off Cousins like 2 or 3 times.
It was 3.
It's just like, where was this? Where has this been?
Watch. They did this. They rallied. They'll look like they'll look like the Falcons next week. I don't know who they play. They play the Lions, so maybe not actually. But I mean, yeah. I can't ever put any stock into the Falcons at all because they have let me down maybe more than any team I've ever praised in the history of watching football.
Same.
I mean, what do we think? They were going like 12-4 last year?
I might have even said 13-3. I might have.
I think I might have said it too. And I could have seen them going 14-2 just because of the talent that they have.
I was just running through the list of the teams they played. I'm like, oh, this offense is going to blow them off out of the water. This offense is going to destroy them. This defense can't stop this offense. And then come to find out they average like fucking 7 points a game. They can't move the ball. Like, what is going on?
Yeah. And the Vikings, I mean,
They
Vikings
suck.
were in a world of hurt. I mean, Dalvin Cook was out, and they just couldn't move the ball at all offensively. Justin Jefferson was the lone bright spot yesterday, albeit I think he had like a 60-some yard touchdown in garbage time when they were down like 30 points. But they're bad. I did not see them being this
in
bad.
garbage time.
Okay, well then never mind. So, I mean, he's still a good player. I still think he's a good player.
I do
But,
too.
I mean, I didn't think the Vikings were going to be this bad.
Me either. I picked them to win the damn division.
I picked the Packers, but I thought the Vikings would win 10 games.
It's just embarrassing what's going on. They need to ship Kirk Cousins out of
They
town.
just gave him an extension.
I know. They fucked
They
up.
just paid him. I mean, Dalvin Cook, he's still good. They just paid him. They just gave Zimmer an extension. They just extended their GM. I mean, they're tied to a lot of these guys for some years.
I would love to see them just completely switch their offense by if they can get a top draft pick by taking a Justin Fields or a Trey Lance and use Dalvin Cook and Alexander Madison and run more spread college type of offense where they're running option plays and they're running the read option and
They got to fire Zimmer if that's the case.
Because they have some receivers and they have a deep threat tight end in Irv Smith who can run for sure. So like their pass catchers aren't the problem. And when you don't have a good offensive line, which theirs isn't great, and you have good running backs and you have good playmakers, in today's game, man, you got to get a quarterback that can use his legs and scare the defense to open up guys with play action. So I don't know.
Those statue quarterbacks are almost becoming irrelevant.
When they don't have an offensive line, Kirk Cousins 1,000% cannot be your quarterback, and you expect to succeed. Yeah. And they're done.
Yeah, I don't see them climbing out of this hole at 1-5. I mean, they've looked pretty bad all season.
Yep.
All right.
You want to go to Ravens Eagles?
Let's go Titans Texans first because we kind of touched on the Titans a little bit earlier when we were talking about the Colts, so let's just go there. That was probably the best game of the day. I mean, all in all, the Titans and the Texans. I mean, it was at one point you thought the Titans were just going to blow out the Texans. Then the Texans storm all the way back. And
I
then
had
the
picked
Titans
the Texans to win that game.
You did.
I was pulling from them.
I think you were the only one who picked the Texans to win. But
and they had a chance.
I was going to ask you, what did you think about them going for 2 at the end? Because they were up 7.
I didn't mind it.
If they kick the extra point, they go up 8 and then force the Titans to go down, score a touchdown, and the 2-point conversion. And they miss it. I know hindsight is 20/20, but
I like aggressive. I mean,
don't like.
You're riding on momentum because you were down by. Now, if they were winning the whole game and then the Titans crept back in and it was a decision to go for 2, maybe not. But I mean, they were playing from behind the whole game. They rallied back. They were trying to win. I mean, they were rolling off of their offensive momentum. Why not? I didn't have a problem with it.
I personally didn't like it because I I think you also have to play the percentages too. A 2 point conversion is so hard to get in the NFL. I mean, it's a very unsuccessful play. So
Yeah, but you got one of the most, I, I don't even know what word I'm looking for, quarterback,
electrifying
like
QB.
improvising quarterback who can just make shit happen when
I
you
mean,
need
he
him
did
to.
that all day yesterday. I mean, he was the only reason why the Texans were in this game because of the plays he made.
I'm trying to remember exactly what happened, and it has not been confirmed yet. But if this is true, kudos to Mike Vrabel
Are
because
you
I
talking
think
about
he's
that
way smarter
when he
than we
sent the
give him
12th
credit
man
for.
onto the field? I
Yes.
saw you. You got to go see the video because if it's not if
Explain to him so
he
people know
may
what we're
not
talking about.
own up to it, but he for sure did this on purpose because it was like 2nd and 1 with like 3:28 to go in the ball game, and I mean they're pretty much already lined up, and Vrabel sends a guy out onto the field so he knows that they will get penalized for 12 men on the field. The clock will stop. It saved them almost about 40 seconds of game time because the clock stops. The Texans automatically get a first down. Next play, the Texans throw an incomplete pass, so obviously that stops the clock again. But the reason why I think it's for sure true, and he did this on purpose, is because you remember what he did last year in the playoffs against the Patriots when he kept taking the delay of games where the clock wouldn't stop, where he could just keep getting these so many penalties. The play clock would run all the way down, and then he would just take the delay of game. And he was just punting, so he just kept doing this over and over again to try and waste so much time. That's just how smart this guy is. I mean, he knows all these rules and little nuances that he can get away with.
Dude, I
And
love Vrabel.
I do
I
too.
think he's one of the most, if not the most underrated coach in football right now.
I mean, and you could just tell all of his guys love playing for him. I mean, he is 100% a play. I mean, he's really, what is he, 40 something? He was just in the league about 15 years ago, maybe a little less than that. But I know for a fact he did it on purpose. He may never own up to it, but you could see
I
him.
think there's even like video of
There
like
is.
the
You need to go
defender
look it
running
up.
in, like like he's looking back, like what the fuck I'm about to get penalized for. It. Vrabel's like,
Jonathan
calm
Joseph
fast
is
down a
like,
little
what do you
bit.
do? Jonathan Joseph has got like his hands up in the air, like, what the hell's happening?
Yeah. And then Vrabel's like, hey, keep that shit on the down low, just fucking
Yes.
run with it.
Yeah. He for
But
sure did it on purpose. There's no
I
doubt.
think that's
It
genius.
is
And
genius.
this is the first defensive guy in today's league that I can remember people talking like that about him. Like since Bill Belichick's a defensive guy, and people claim he's the great, and I believe it too, the greatest coach of all time. Even though he's a defensive guy and a specialist guy, he's considered the greatest and a genius and innovative and all this stuff. Whereas like the last like 10 years, maybe 5 to 6 years, whatever it is, when it's become such an offensive league, every quote unquote genius quarterback you're hearing about the next guy is offensive. Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan, Andy Reid's earned it well. I mean, he's got a couple decades worth of showing what he can do, but like all the new up and coming coaches that everyone looks at could be the next guy are offensive. Vrabel's the first guy I can think of that's a defensive guy that people are saying is innovative. He's creative. He understands all the nuances of the game. He's a genius. So it's like I think it's awesome because like Doug McDermott, the Bills coach who's known for his
Sean
defense,
McDermott.
or McDermott,
You're talking about Dougie
yeah,
McBuckets for the Pacers.
yes. Anyways, Sean McDermott, yeah. People look at him. He's a defensive guy. He's in the running for coach of the year all the time. I mean, he has his teams playing, but no one really looks at him as innovative and like such a brilliant football mind. You know, it's just more like he just always has his team ready to go and they're disciplined and just a good. I don't know. Maybe I'm just rambling, but he is
No, I'm
blown
with
me
you.
away.
I think Vrabel deserves all this praise too, because I mean he did a lot of this with also Mariota for a couple years. I mean now I also think you got to give a lot of credit to Arthur Smith, the offensive coordinator, and just pay your respects to Ryan Tannehill as well, because I mean the Dolphins just absolutely shipped him out of town for a 4th round pick. I mean they were like, we just got to get rid of this guy. We went off his contract. Tannehill went out and balled last year, led the Titans to the AFC title game. He's got them undefeated right now. They're playing really good football. I just, I thought the Titans were a good team. I picked them to win the AFC South because I just thought they were the best team in the division. I think they're proving so far so good. I mean, they just find ways to win every single week. And who would have thought they were going to put up 42 points? I mean, I know the Texans defense sucks, but I mean, if you think of the Titans, you don't think of. I mean, I think they put up 40 last week against Buffalo, and that is a good defense. So,
Not so much this year, but
yeah, I mean, I know they had some injuries, but they're still
I get
probably
where you're
a
going.
top 15 defense. The Bills.
I mean, the Titans are in the Colts division, who we're fans of, and they're hard not to root for.
Yeah,
I just like a lot of their players. I love their head coach. I don't know.
Yeah.
I like them.
And the Texans, I mean, they're just a bad team.
I didn't really have much to say about the Texans.
No, I didn't have high hopes for them coming into this year. I mean, they were a mess.
We just keep harping on it that
Dolphins fans are rooting for them.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. But we're just, I mean, it's Deshaun Watson, and what they're doing for him is Indianapolis 2.0 with Andrew Luck.
I just feel bad for him.
So do I, because I watched firsthand what happened to Andrew Luck's career, where you are making nothing, or you're making something out of nothing every single week, every single year. Your GM is doing you no favors by bringing in no talent. I mean, just shitting away your team. You get hurt because people just you get hit after hit after hit, and it just adds up. And it's literally like looking in the mirror when you look at what the Texans are doing with
very unfortunate for Deshaun Watson.
I just hope it doesn't end the same way. I hope they find someone competent this year and help him out before.
I mean, he's not gonna. He doesn't have a lot of reinforcements coming in this year, as far as because they have the highest payroll. Assets. They have no draft picks. I mean, it's a bad situation in Houston. Houston, we do have a problem.
Fair enough. We don't have many games left.
Steelers, Browns. I mean, the Steelers put an absolute hurting on the Browns, made Baker Mayfield look awful. I mean, he looked terrible.
So are the Steelers just a bad matchup, or are the Browns frauds?
I think it's a little bit of both. I don't think the Browns are that. I don't know if they were as good as a 4-1 record with State, but I just think the Steelers are one of the best teams in the league. I mean, every game this year, their defense has at least had 1 interceptions and 3+ sacks in every game this year. That defense is legit. Chase Claypool is becoming a star offensively, and Big Ben looks as good as he has in a couple years.
He said he felt his best that he's felt. And,
he looks like it for sure.
Yeah, the Steelers team's good. I
keep saying they're the biggest challengers to the Chiefs in the AFC.
I've never disagreed.
They're just good.
I would take the Steelers over the Ravens.
I would too.
No question.
You got much else to say about this? I mean,
not really. The Browns just flat out took a shit.
Yeah, they did.
They
look terrible.
Anything. But we've been also saying the Steelers have the best defense in the league. It's debatable with the Buccaneers right now because the Bucs have just. I mean, I think that. Why am I blanking on his damn name? The defensive coordinator for Todd Bowles. I think he's probably the best defensive coordinator in the NFL. Was not a very good head coach, but
he was also with the shitty Jets too.
And he had them, even with an offense that couldn't move the ball, were never bottom 10 defense in the league.
No, and I agree. I think he's extremely smart. I think he's another guy who could be a little bit like Vrabel. If you get him in the right situation, you get him a good quarterback. I mean, his best quarterback in New York was Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, that's not good.
So, I mean, he basically had no shot with the Jets.
That's basically it. Stay in the division. Ravens, Eagles. What were your thoughts?
I was a little. Maybe the Ravens just took their foot off the gas a little bit in the fourth quarter, but they just had a very sloppy game. I think they had 12 penalties on offense this game against the Eagles. I mean, I think like I said, maybe it was just they took their foot off the gas because I think they were up like 16 points in the fourth quarter, and Carson Wentz almost single-handedly brought the Eagles back with nobody on offense. I mean, Zach Ertz goes out, Miles Sanders goes out, then they're already without Alshon Jeffrey and Deshaun Jackson, Jalen Reagor. I mean, this was one of those games where Carson Wentz did everything he could, and they just did not have the guns to compete with the Ravens because Lane Johnson was out too. Jason Peters is still out. They had lost Brandon Brooks at the beginning of the season, and he was working with guys literally off the street. And he did his all. I actually thought he played pretty well.
Yep. I saw something somewhere, again, don't quote me, that said coming into the season, obviously you have 11 starters you're preparing to start the season with on offense. You take out Carson Wentz, the quarterback, so you got 10 guys on offense, 10 starters. They have one starter left.
See? And it's probably Jason Kelce, their center.
It is their center.
Yeah.
Yep, because Ertz just went out and possibly tore his ACL.
And Goddard's out too. So,
yeah.
I mean, he was working with nobody. So this is one of those games where I don't think you can even blame Carson at all.
And they had a chance to come back and tie the game at the end of the game. And
I think they just completely blew up the play on that 2-point conversion because Carson Wentz and I think it was Boston Scott. They just ran into each other.
Ran into each other on the read option. Yep.
And it might have been blown up regardless of what happened because the Ravens looked like they played it pretty well, but they just run into each other.
But it was pretty impressive that they were still in the game at the end of the game with what he was working with.
I agree.
Flip the other side, I think the Ravens are a really, really good team, but if they run into somebody who shuts down their run game, they don't scare me at all.
Mm-hmm. They've got a lot of flaws, I think.
They do.
And
if they get down early, good luck. That's exactly what happened to them against the Chiefs.
Yes.
I believe that's why I picked the Chiefs because I thought they could get up on them early, and then the Ravens are not a team that can play from behind.
No, they're not. They are built a very specific way, too. And so we haven't seen all the highlight plays that Lamar Jackson had last year in his MVP season. I think he had a couple in this game where he had that long touchdown run up the middle. But, I mean, they struggled at the end of the game, and they couldn't get first down when they needed to, and that's how they let the Eagles kind of back in the game. So, I think they're a very good team, too, but they've got some flaws.
Is there only one game left to talk about?
As do all teams, but you know what I mean. The 49ers and the Rams. This one, I mean, I'll let you start, Jay, but this one was, I thought, another very uneventful Sunday night game.
I liked it a little more than you did. I thought the 49ers just outplayed the
Rams' ass. I don't care what the score said.
And the 49ers defense looked better than the Rams defense. I just think clearly I do believe that the 49ers are a better team when Garoppolo is playing quarterback than the other two options they have. But even with Garoppolo starting, I don't think they're a great team because they're missing some key pieces defensively. Let me tell you this, Deebo Samuel, beast with the ball in his hand. Refuses to go down.
Held up on the Rams defender and got back up and ran for another 15 yards, I think.
That one too, but I was thinking the very last play that iced the game where they gave him like an end around and he just straight ran through everybody, trucking DBs and safeties and just to get that first down to seal the game. I like Deebo Samuel a lot. I like watching him play.
Yeah. I said this last week about the Rams. They're not as bad as I thought they were going to be, but their only 4 wins so far of the season have come against the worst division in football, that being the NFC East. All four of their wins are against the Eagles, the Giants, the Cowboys, and the Washington football team. So, I mean, that their wins may be a little inflated, and the 49ers neutralized Aaron Donald, and he didn't wreck the game for them. And obviously that's everybody's plan going in. When you play the Rams, it's easier said than done. But the 49ers, I think, for the past couple of years have been one of the best teams at stopping Aaron Donald because they're like, we are not going to let you just wreck this game. I mean, we will do whatever it takes. Somebody else is going to have to beat us. And I thought the 49ers actually looked like the 49ers from last year to that last night. That was one of the time, really all this season, where they had ran the ball and played good defense. And that was their recipes for success last year. They're limited at the quarterback position with Jimmy Garoppolo and will be until, I don't know, because I think he is who he is. But, yeah, so.
I just don't think the defense – I think the defense is definitely playing better than I thought they would, but they're not what they were last year because –
No, and, I mean, they've also got
Buckner's
injuries.
In Indianapolis and Nick Bosa is out with an injury, so –
and albeit whatever you think of Solomon Thomas, I mean, he also tore his ACL too. I mean, he was another guy who at least was a body.
So I think Garoppolo fed off of that great defense they had last year. And since they don't have the great defense. It's just a pretty good defense. You're seeing it. I mean, they're 3-3 instead of last year. They might have been at this point they were probably.
I think they were. What they start the
5-1?
season off 9-0.
Oh, was it 9-0?
I think it was something like that before they got their first loss. I don't remember who they lost to. I think it was Seattle on that Monday night. They might have been
This is a team
7 or 8-0, but
this is a team that if they continue this and get in the playoffs at 8-8 or 9-7, that the opposite of what we were talking about earlier, that someone might not want to play.
Yeah, because they
might
could run the ball and play good defense.
Yep.
Yeah, that's their recipe for success, and they've done it well for going on a year and a half now. But so
right now the Chiefs-Bills game is 13-10 at half. Chiefs winning. Hasn't been that exciting. Not much going on.
No, I
and
think
the way
Josh
it's looking,
Allen only has like 40 yards.
Yeah,
Mahomes has got 2 touchdowns to Travis Kelce so far. I need him to have a big game because I am currently down in fantasy by about 16 points, and I've got him and Zerline left. But the guy I'm playing has Edwards-Helaire, so if they could just stop giving Clyde the ball, that'd be pretty cool.
Well, they're winning right now, not by much. So
they're going to run the ball.
That happens. Prediction for the second half, I think it's pretty similar to the first half. I think the Chiefs probably win.
Yeah, I like the Chiefs.
28-17.
All right, you heard it here. What do you like in the Cowboys-Cardinals tonight, Jay?
I actually like the Cowboys in this game.
I do too, actually.
Yeah, I don't. I think Andy Dalton's going to come out and try and prove something and have this offense, because I don't bank on the game where he came in for Dak. I mean, he was thrust in when he didn't really know he was going to be playing. They already weren't playing that great. Let's see what happens this week. I think he's going to show some people. I think he probably goes for close to 300 yards.
I think he actually has a really good game because if he doesn't turn the ball over with the weapons that they have offensively,
which is what he's known for,
the
he's
Cardinals
not going to turn the ball
just
over.
lost Chandler Jones for the year, so they don't have him tonight. So and their defense already isn't very good. I think the Cowboys just kind of control this game from start to finish. I know that their defense isn't very good, and the Cardinals might have their way, but the Cardinals' offense have struggled at times this year to score points, and I like the Cowboys tonight.
I think the Cowboys win by 10 plus.
Like I said, I don't think that they struggle with the Cardinals tonight at all. I don't.
Yeah. I didn't expect you to take that same take.
Yeah. I just feel like the Cardinals may think now that Dak's hurt, they may take their foot off the gas a little bit. They're a young team. They really don't know what it's kind of like to go in. I mean, Cliff Kingsbury's still a young coach in this league, and Kyler Murray at times has looked like an MVP candidate, and other times he's looked like a second-year quarterback. So, yeah, that's what I like tonight.
All right.
But, Jay, you got anything else, man, or ready to wrap up this, what is it, week 6? Yeah?
Right, yeah, it is. Week 6 already.
Rundown? Crazy.
Yep,
Very
I'm
good.
good.
All right. We hit everything at the beginning, so we will get out of here on that.
All right. Until next time.
Until next time.